All right, good evening, council and citizens. Call the January 17th meeting of the West Richland City Council to order at 6 p.m. And before we get started, I'll ask Stephanie to read the hybrid meeting ground rules, if you would, please.
Thank you. Tonight's meeting will be held in person with a virtual meeting component. If you are participating virtually, please make sure the name shown at the bottom of your video view is the name you would like the mayor to use. You can change this by right-clicking on your video view and selecting Rename. Audience members present in the council chambers will be called upon first during public comment periods. Those participating remotely should virtually raise your hand if you wish to speak. To virtually raise your hand, click on Participants and then click on Raise Hand. If you are participating by phone only, press *9 to raise your hand. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. And there's no one in the audience or virtually right now, so that was for all of you. All right, roll call. Brent Gary.
Here.
Richard Bloom.
Here.
Fred Brink.
Here.
David Fetto.
Here.
May Hayes. Here. Kate Moran. Present. John Smart.
Here.
Ken Stoker.
Here. Councilmember Fetto, will you please lead us in the pledge this evening? Pleasure. Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilmember Fetto. Appreciate it. Council agenda is before you this evening. May I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second. Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you, council. No presentations this evening, so we'll move on to the consent agenda, which includes payment of the bills, approve the minutes of the regular meeting January 3rd, 2023. Resolution 0223, setting a public hearing for an access easement vacation 006-2022. And resolution 0323 to set a public hearing for utility easement vacation 007-2022. Resolution 0423 adopting policy on small tracts.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
can these be 2023s?
23s they are listed. Sorry, am I saying 22s?
No, it's
Oh,
They were
okay.
applied for in 2022.
Applied for in 2022. Okay, very good. So moving on, resolution 04-2023 adopting policy of Small Tracts Act right of way reservation. Motion authorizing amendment number 6 to the engineering services contract for Bombing Range Road, Keene Road intersection modification project with JUB. Motion to approve the 2023-2024 agreement of services with the West Richland Area Chamber of Commerce. Seeing no one in the audience this evening or anyone virtually, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion in a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried. Thank you. And then again, seeing no one in the audience or virtually, there will be no public comment for item 7. Moving on to ordinances, item 8, ordinances, resolution, motion, and public hearings. Item 8A is an ordinance that creates a formal roadside memorial policy and a program within the city of West Richland Municipal Code. And I'll ask Public Works Director Roscoe Slade to present the staff report. If you would, Roscoe.
Thanks, Mayor. So the city currently does not have a formal roadway memorial policy or program. After a fatality on Keene Road, end of last year, the police department was asked about doing a roadside memorial, and after discussions with the police chief, decided that we probably should do a little more investigation and research. So what you have before you is a ordinance that would set up a roadside memorial sign program. It provides families of persons fatally injured in crashes with a way to sponsor a memorial sign to be erected near the scene of the crash, ensures the memorial signs are located and installed in a safe and consistent manner, and increases public awareness of the need to drive safely. So this gets away from the makeshift ones that you see around other communities. The ordinance was basically models, WashDOTs, the city of Tumwater and the city of Kirkland. Basically just tweaked it to fit West Richland. And so this provides the opportunity for them to sponsor a sign, lays out the application and the process for approval. So anyway, that's what's before you, and rather doing just a policy, we're putting in a municipal code because we don't expect to use this very often.
All right, thank you, Roscoe. Appreciate it. And again, seeing nobody virtually or in the audience this evening, council, may I have a motion, please?
I move to adopt ordinance 01-23, adding West Richland Municipal Code, chapter 12.80 roadside memorial sign program.
Second.
Motion in a second. Any questions, Roscoe or the chief, or conversation amongst yourselves? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carried. Thank you, Roscoe and chief, for putting that together. Much appreciated. It takes care of a lot of unknowns for people that may feel a need. And, sad situations occur. Resolution 8B is a resolution that adopts the city of West Richland's 2023 legislative priorities. Roscoe and I have worked together with this as well as regionally, so I've prepared regional items that adopt that would speak with one voice regionally. And I asked Roscoe to swing West Richland's priorities and work with me on it as well. So I'll let him present the staff report and we can talk about it here in a little bit.
Thanks, Mayor. So basically what the starting point is our last legislative priorities that we adopted at the end of 2021 for 2022. So the front page under general principles is the exact same language that was in the previous one. Our transportation project with the Red Mountain project, the water and sewer infrastructure, they've just been updated. They were in the previous one. The public safety and behavioral health was very similar to last year's, except clarification or more specifics with the Blake decision, vehicle pursuits, and funding for recruitment and retention was added to match AWC's priorities, and also sheriffs and police chiefs. And then the bottom corner, in last year's, there was rural county capital funds with the Benton County, and that was passed last year, so that was done. That one came from Benton REA. Their legislative priorities, and so they asked if the city would consider putting that as part of theirs. It deals with counting the importance of both hydro and nuclear power when you look at carbon-free energy. The backside, last year's was blank. We just had the front side. The mayor asked that I go through and look at the cities of Kennewick, Pasco, Richland, AWCs, and the sheriffs and police chiefs association, and compare those to our SFAs to see which ones fit for the city of West Richland for consideration. And so you see ones that are under public safety, infrastructure, development, general government, local decision-making, again, regional behavioral health center and crisis response, and affordable housing. Again, these are all consistent with the other cities. I pared it down to the ones that I thought fit West Richland.
Thanks, Roscoe. Appreciate it. May I have a motion? Yeah, if there's nobody personally here, or
I move to approve resolution 05-23, a resolution of the city of West Richland, Washington, adopting the city of West Richland 2023 legislative agenda.
Second.
motion the second. Council questions, comments, and before we get going, I'd like Roscoe, thank you very much for taking my direction and doing what you did. It was beneficial to lay it out the way that you did start marriage. I do appreciate that, and focusing on our SFAs, which is also very important. So, Councilmember Rand.
Thank you. First, I would also like to echo that it is I appreciate very much the including a legislative agenda, because it makes it so that we as council members can know what we should be able to represent as a council member for the city. when we can testify to the state. So especially now that we can do that remotely, it's greatly appreciated that you put this together. Thank you very much. I did have just one quick question. I wanted to make sure that there was no conflicting information, and I don't think there is, but I just want to make sure there is no conflicting priorities between AWC and the WASPIC when it comes to the police and especially like Blake, things like that. There's nothing that would be different between the two, correct? I didn't think there would be, but I wanted to make sure.
So I guess I'd comment that I haven't checked as the chief, I haven't checked that AWC standards with the WASPIC legislation priorities. So I can't really answer for sure that there is, but things tend to
Two
align.
groups usually speak with one voice, and before they make a decision on which direction they're gonna go, they have the conversations. Councilmember Moran, that making sure that everybody's on the same page, so there isn't that conflict or head butting, which would be not beneficial for any party. So,
And Mr. Mayor, if I may help address Councilmember Moran's question. The AWC does support changes to the changes with regard to the Blake decision in terms of trying to look for alternatives to overcome the decisions that were made by the Supreme Court, and also addressing vehicle pursuits. That's another issue that AWC is working to try to give police the ability to pursue individuals who are suspected of committing violent crime, and where pursuit would help limit potential risk to other people, while at the same time taking into account public safety. So these are focus areas of AWC.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure, especially since AWC is for all of Washington State and not all of the state is always in agreement on some things. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Then another thing too is if there's anything you see in this, that when you go to Olympia and talk with the legislator, if there's any particular item you're going to be talking to the senator or representative on, if you'd reach out to staff, myself, or anybody that's in that particular node of expertise, we could help you with talking points and things in that nature. So we all are consistent with the message. That's the very, very important part, is being consistent with your message with our senators and representatives as we go and meet with them this year.
So Councilmember Moran, I would say that, yeah, they're both very similar. I think the sheriffs and police chiefs literature that was in your packet gets a little more detail as far as the RCW that they're specifically targeting. So I think you get a little more detail out of but yeah, they're both consistent.
Thank you very much.
Councilmember Bloom?
Yeah, my question is, the at the bottom of the priorities, we have the affordable housing item that says the City of West Richland supports a proactive approach to creating new tools, incentives, revenues for the city to use, I know I believe all council members got some MOUs, draft MOUs from the county relative to homeless housing and other housing issues. What are the aspects of what is going on with that particular scope?
That bill didn't make it through last year. It's probably gonna have a pretty good push this year on it, so that's something that's gonna be watched closely by AWC and locally here. And what we wanted to talk about region-wise is, in that bill, they've talked about forcing affordable housing in municipalities, even smaller cities. We wanted to make sure that the language would talk to a region-wide approach, where it'd be Richland, Pasco, Kennewick, West Richland, Benton County, Franklin County, and to be able to absorb the monetary impact of the citizens in the cities as a region-wide whole. So there's still more to come on that for sure as we move through this legislative session.
Well, the reason I bring it up, I may go back for legislative discussions on Fish and Wildlife Recovery Board. And one of the issues, believe it or not, is homelessness camping up next to all the waters. And it's becoming a problem, especially up towards Yakima, but in a lot of areas of just the pressure of homelessness and camping, without, it's not recreational camping. And so I was just trying to figure out what the flavor was, should it come up in our aspects. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah, that's a good question. So, yeah, and I don't have those answers for you because that's obviously two different things with the impact of riverside camping and what all that comes with it. But certainly a good question to be asked when we have these conversations with our legislators. Maybe you can find out a little bit more how the fish board is going to pursue it or have conversations. I'd be interested to hear from them as well.
Well, it's kind of interesting because there are all sorts of regulations on property owners of what they can have near their water. But, Yakima's having tremendous problems, getting people away from the water.
And that's some of the things that we've talked about, like city administrators, city administrators and county administrators in regards to instead of pushing everybody back and forth across the borders, what are we going to do with the problem homeless minimal amount that we have region wide? So that's where that conversation comes in Olympia. And if this bill passes, what are we going to do regionally to take care of the problem? But good point. Keep an eye out. Councilmember Smart. I would like to see it. I'd like to purchase it. Support the product and support the product. We need two things. Incentives. I would like incentives. Revenues. Opportunities to use support these houses. So, one way or another. The city in the voters asking the state to yeah, and in response to that, I was watching TVW, which I've spent most of this afternoon on TVW and watching the testimonials on multiple things, and then the affordable housing was one of them. I will find out whether it's a Senate bill or a House bill, and some of the testifies concerns were exactly what you just brought up, or are these more unfunded mandates that are going to be put on the cities? So I will find out which one of those bills are, share them with you, and encourage you to study them and then make testimony when you have the opportunity for our legislators and the legislative days. So Yeah, we'll get that, we'll find that out. then. Yeah. Yeah, I did. Matter of fact, I got answers for you. More to come. Yeah. Yeah. And then again, too, with our city manager administrator meeting last week, we had that conversation and they are scheduling, Benton County is scheduling to address city councils in both Richland, Pasco, Kennewick, City of West Richland. So right now, so with the exception of Pasco, they're on a Monday night and everybody else is on Tuesday nights. So they're gonna see if Richland and Kennewick can work on their workshop off council night, so they can come make presentation to us during council meeting, which those questions could be asked to them. When you have individuals that are in substance abuse situation or caught in the revolving door of the judicial system, they never get out of it. And that's one of the purposes for this facility to be put into place to give these people an avenue of recovery. Because the revolving door of the municipal system is, or the judicial system is not a fix for them. So that'll be good questions to ask them. No, we won't. Yes, we are. It's a broad, wide scope that covers an awful lot. Something's better than nothing. Okay. Thank you, Councilmember Blue.
I was gonna follow up on the experience that somewhat shocked me. As I had mentioned to you, you mentioned council, I have acquired another home in West Richland. And what came with that was the realization it's a Haven home. And with that is a covenant on that home that requires me to pay into the Haven fund for affordable housing. When I sell the house, the previous owner, was what? It's like 8% of the sale price. What would be interesting is, hey, is that coming back to West Richland? I mean, and so, you know.
So I can speak to this
Go ahead.
as being their preferred
not-
lender for 5 years. Those funds go back to Hayden's Foundation. That then can be spread to some of it will be within the community, but they don't give it just for affordable housing. They'll cut checks to the Cancer Center, Catholic Foundation, Lords. I've been on those check presentations, so it's not strictly just for affordable housing, although they do a lot with Habitat for Humanity. But yeah, and that's a deed restriction that's in forever.
Good, all right. Yeah. I didn't have an answer for that one. Staff was going, I don't know. Okay, very good. With that, council, I have a motion a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, please. Motion carries. Thank you. And moving on to item 8C is another resolution. And this one will amend the city's master fee schedule to include the fees associated with the roadside memorial program. And Mr. Slade, if you present staff report on this, please.
Yeah, this is just the paired staff report that establishes a fee for the sign and plaque of $400. That includes administrative fee or a fee of $170 if you're just adding a memorial sign on an existing thing. So this will establish the fee for the program and put it in the master fee schedule.
And just for council's information, I do see audience attendance. If there's anyone from the audience who'd like to speak to this resolution, please raise your virtual hand or come to the podium. Stephanie, do you see anyone virtually?
Not.
All right, with that, council, may I have a motion, please?
I move to adopt resolution 06-23, adding roadside memorial sign program fees to the master fees schedule.
Second.
Motion second. Any comment, questions in regards to this? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried. Thank you, council. Moving on to 8D is a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign and execute a development prepayment agreement for water and sewer with Frank Teagues LLC. And I'll ask Roscoe to present staff report on this, if you would, please.
Yeah, this has got to be a first for me where we have a developer that wants to prepay his water sewer connection fee. And so really what this comes into, it plays into the master plan that Eric and his team and the planning department are working on for Lewis and Clark Ranch. There was a small piece that's about 400 or 500 homes. It's on the north side of Rupert, west of that substation. That is in our water and sewer service area, but it's not in our retail water and sewer service area. Big difference. One, and if you're in the retail water service area, we have a duty to provide water and sewer. If you're not, we have the option to. And we've had discussions about what that development would take as far as infrastructure to develop. And the utility committees, I think we've had discussions over probably the last year, you know, that typically a city goes in, we will borrow the money, we'll put the water treatment plants in, the wells, the reservoirs, the treatment plants, and then as development comes in with a building permit, they pay a connection fee for the water and sewer to pay their fair share of that capacity. With this, in this development, you've got one development with nearly $70 million worth of infrastructure. That's a hard one for the city to go borrow, and not one that staff or the mayor would take on, simply because well, things were going good when we were talking about this, but you can see things have changed in just in the last year. But not something we're going to take on, because at the end of the day, you go borrow the money, growth stops, who's paying that debt service? And none of us want to go put that kind of debt onto our existing ratepayers. So the stance has always been growth pays for growth. And so this was a way to allow that area north of Rupert was to prepay that. So there's no risk. We've got the money to go look at doing a facility plan for the expansion of a treatment plant. We can start the design of a reservoir, and we can also look at another well that would be needed for those in the park with having the funds prepaid up in front. So we did go through and do an inventory of what our current capacity is in the water to provide water and provide sewer. And so we do have the capacity to pre-sell 1,000 and still meet all our previous obligations that through other plats when we develop. And including the DNR agreement from 1985, we owe them 440 connections. So that's all factored in. And so again, we've got the capacity, went through the analysis. And so this is basically prepaying that we reserve that capacity. And we'll use that to go build infrastructure and design infrastructure without having to borrow money. Basically no risk to our residents.
Awesome. Is there anyone from the audience who'd like to speak to this agenda item this evening? I see no one in the audience, and virtually, Stephanie, do you see anybody?
I do not see anyone with their hand up now.
Council may I have a motion, please?
I move to adopt resolution 07-23 authorizing the mayor to sign and execute a water system development fee and sewer system development fee prepayment agreement with Frank Teagues LLC.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions, Roscoe? You start with Councilmember Bloom.
So Roscoe, this will be a fund which we will do the construction, so we'll be doing it at prevailing wage, or is this mainly designed and is the option for Tiggs to do it possibly not at prevailing wage?
No, he's basically, instead of waiting till building permits issued to pay these connection fees, he's prepaid them in advance. And the way it's set up is they're metered out over the next 3 years. And then after, I think, January 1st of 2029, these turn into a credit. So if the water and sewer connection fees increase, when building permits come in at that time, they would be paying the difference. These funds are no different. When you pay for a building permit, you pay a water sewer connection fee. It goes into our 441 fund and 442 fund that the city uses to design and construct water sewer infrastructure.
So if the connection doesn't occur, and inflation goes forward, there'll be an additional charge.
Yeah, so if they do not connect, pull out a building permit by January 1st of 2029, and the water and sewer connection fee have increased, which I imagine they will at some point between now and then, they at the building permit will pay the difference in the fees.
Will this be on the 2023 schedule or the 2022 schedule?
So the prepayment, the agreement was signed in 2022, so it's on, these are prepayment on the 22 schedule, not the 23. Just for your information, it's $6,620,000, and we've already received the check. That all came in on the 30th of December.
Councilmember Moran.
Thank you. I just want to make sure that I understand. So this would be covering, even if there is a change, because it sounds like there already has been, and I'm sure there will be continued changes to the plan in regards to changes in residential versus commercial, which I'm assuming would also change how much water would be required, which I'm assuming then would change how much this would require be built. Is that correct?
So the prepayment agreement is for 1,000 single-family residential units. We know what that is, and so they can be converted to what that is equal in residential or, commercial, multifamily, and industrial. So there's a conversion factor, but they're only prepaying for certain. So there's no guarantees past that. I'm going to say in the planning effort, there's a lot of blue up there that's urban transition. And so in the planning, we're considering that RM6, because that would be the highest water and sewer use. So if it turns to be something else, we've got flexibility in the planning. So that's kind of how we're going forward with it.
Okay, and so are these also based off of what we're assuming the costs are going to be, or is it the cost for right now and then afterwards, if it ends up being more, then that's how much it sounded like I can't remember the word you used,
So
I'm
this
sorry.
is so we have existing capacity that has a set cost, and that's what he's paying for. He's buying our existing capacity. We are going to use the funds to increase our water and sewer capacity. And when those projects are done, we'll know what it then costs. So future connections will end up paying more. So he's prepaying for at 22 price.
So it sounds like something that more developers should be doing.
If they can cut a $6.6 million check, yeah.
With the same name on it, not the bank.
Fair enough.
This is a first for me. Yeah, this is the
Right.
first.
Thank you very much.
Mayor Pro Tem Brink.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do not have a question. I just wish to make a comment that I applaud the efforts of Mr. Slade, his staff, Mr. Mayor, and so forth for getting Mr. Teagues to pay $6,620,000 in advance, because it greatly minimizes potential risk to the city. So you have my thanks for doing this. Thank you.
Thank you. And that was the whole point for us moving in this direction. That's taking care of the people that are here now. All right, very good. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you, council. Much appreciated. We have no unfinished business this evening nor any new business. And I see no one in the audience. I just see virtual. If there's anybody virtual would like to participate in the citizen public comment, please raise your virtual hand and be recognized by the clerk for 3 minutes. Stephanie, do you see anyone virtually?
I do not.
All right, with that, we'll go ahead and move on to staff and council comments, reports. Any senior staff have comments, reports this evening? Night, Alicia. Have a good evening. Thank you. Aaron?
Good evening. I just want to report that we had our final audit report last week. I know Mayor Pro Tem Brink joined us. And everything was good, and the audit report was published today. Many of you may have received an email with a link to that report.
Bad, clean, crisp. And we didn't even get any shoe boxes full of receipts back, so. Yeah, every time we do an audit, we've done very well. We have to get thanked quite a lot from the auditor's office for being so well organized and the participation and cooperation with our staff. So again, Aaron, if you would please thank your staff and all senior staff for everything that they do. We don't allow Roscoe to talk to the auditors, but you know, that's understandable. So that's how to get such a clean audit every time.
That's what Ilka does.
Thank you very much. Chief Craig.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. Just short and sweet tonight. I just wanted to give you an update on our status of employees at this point. I have one position still open in the police department. We had a candidate sign a job offer today. He has a couple more hoops to jump through, but things are looking good with him. The last position I have open, we will be filling with an entry-level officer, which we currently have a list for. We're currently going through that. So I just want to give you an update on that. The 3 that are in the field training program right now are doing really well, and I'm getting positive reports from them. So we're looking really good. I'm hoping the entry level will be in the regional academy if it happens in April. That's what we're hoping for with the timing. Even if it happens in June, I'll probably bring them on and still train them up and get them ready for the academy. So that's kind of where we're at right now with our manpower. And so just want to report that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. Stephanie?
Yes, thank you. So I just wanted to take a moment to introduce everyone here to Amy Hunt. She is training to be my backup, so she will be filling in for me, I know, at least in May. So she'll be here for a few meetings to learn the ropes. And then I just wanted to remind council that there is a workshop next week on Tuesday at 5 p.m. here in the council chambers.
Definitely appreciate it. Councilman Blue?
Well, I want to say that I will be attending the APCA conference in Las Vegas. I have to go back and fix a lockdown, but no. At the end of February. It should impact the schedule here. As far as transit is going, APCA is the American Public Transportation Association.
Thought it was an Aflac deal.
The things are going well with transit. We just agreed to bring on, we're going to get 25 more van pool vans. So people have been looking for van pools, which we're down to 1 left. We are on schedule to bring in 25 more vans. And supposedly they're sending out the survey for Hanford, and we may have a bus service out to Hanford probably in 13 years of time.
Thank you, Councilman. Appreciate it. Councilmember Moran?
Thank you. I would well, first for the Benton Franklin Council of Governments, Benton Franklin Economic Development District, the January meeting is canceled, so I won't be going to that. I was wondering, first, Stephanie, the workshop you're talking about next Tuesday at 5, is that for the alternative revenue funding? Yes, excellent. Thank you very much. I was going to ask about that. I'm also wondering if we have made any headway regarding the survey that we would be sending out regarding fireworks.
I'll let, after we get done with council comments, I'll go back to Eric and have him let you know where we're at with that.
Perfect, thank you. And also I noticed that we've been getting emails from the Benton County Department of Human Resources regarding the interlocal agreements, and thinking back to the priorities that we have regarding the homelessness, et cetera. That was making me wonder if we had gotten together so that we would be approving the interlocal agreements. The Benton County Department of Human Resources interlocal agreements.
Yeah, that, you'll see that next council meeting.
Perfect,
I think two or three interlocals that are county related.
excellent. And then, Chief, I want to thank you again so much. While it's not specific to my time on council, having been the president of the West Richland Community Care Foundation, I just want to thank the police department so much for everything that you do for the community. And I hope that others will continue to work with the department and also look into doing things like participating with the Community Care Foundation. And I'm wondering regarding the new fund that I believe was created, is that now ready to go and is that public?
No, it's not public yet. I'm working on that program and I'll be briefing the mayor on it now that the Community Care Foundation has got that approved for the accounts for it. So I'll be talking to the mayor about that shortly. But I just found this out this last week. Thanks for your services as the president of the board. We appreciate all your help and everything too along the way.
Excellent. Then I will not take your thunder and let you talk about that when the time is right. Thank you very much.
Councilmember Hay?
I just wanted to mention the meeting that we had last week, the West Richland Community Care Foundation. It was a great meeting. Tom was there and we talked through a lot of issues and ideas and things to really get the foundation board of directors on board with the police and how we work closer together. Came up with some really good ideas. We have one of the new directors came on board, Jerry. He's a Spitfire. And so he's going to bring a lot to the table. But it was just really good to see how it's all starting to blend together and by working together closely with everything. So thank you, Tom, and everybody else, rest of the police department that has been involved and has helped us grow, I think, as a foundation. The other thing I wanted to mention, a longtime resident of West Richland has passed away, Bill Shane, and his celebration of life is going to be at the Mayfield this Saturday from 2 to 4. If you hadn't personally met Bill, he was very involved with the community, involved with the police, involved with the fire district for like 40 years, involved with the senior center. He was the senior center, was the president of it for most of 20 years, and just a wonderful person. And so anybody's welcome if you would like to come and from 2 to 4 on Saturday. So I just wanted to mention it, and I think this community was blessed having him part of this community and everything that he brought to the table. And he was a huge contributor to the West Richland Chamber of Commerce, always lives there to help with any of the events, anything going on. So I invite anybody to come. Thank you.
Before I move on to Mayor Pro Tem Brink at the 6,000-foot level, I'll give you a briefing of where the staff is in the discussion of survey, and I'll go ahead and have Eric touch briefly on that and what we're looking at in a broader scope than just one particular item as recommended by Councilmember Smart as well.
So I reached out to an individual from On Point Insights. very educated in this field. And he's presented to myself and Stephanie. We've listened to his sales pitch and we're bringing that to senior staff tomorrow. And we're going to be looking at not just doing a fireworks survey, but trying to do more of an outreach to our community and understanding what the needs of our community are so that we have a direct feed from them, and include the fireworks in the survey, but we want to get a better, broader scope. So this gentleman will be able to help us out significantly for it. He brings a lot of background. I'll be bringing more information to you on that before we move forward with the contract, just to make sure that we're all on board, and that we're good to go. But his intent is to, put together a proposal for survey and get buy-in on it before we run it out through the community as well. So we're excited for that, and I'll have more information on that in due time.
Councilmember Smart, I assume there might be a.
Yeah, just a quick comment on that.
Way.
Yeah, I just want to comment. I don't want to be needling here, but I want to make sure that our instructions to this professional survey maker is that the questions are entirely constructed without predisposition for bias toward one or certain other. I mean, I want to say, I'm not accusing anybody of doing that. I'm saying that it's very common for surveys to be specifically tailored for certain answers. So I just want to make sure that our instructions to him are that he make an unbiased.
We're having a Zoom meeting with him tomorrow, and most likely we'll have a workshop presentation with him, the council too, for him to share his program and to answer your easy questions that
I'm sure it'll be a pleasure.
In his presentation to me, that was his telling me, is that I'm not doing this with predisposition. I'm doing this way because this way is what's the best way. So this isn't his first rodeo. He's worked for Coca-Cola. He's worked for Washington Mutual. He's worked for T-Mobile. He's worked for large corporations to do surveys to get customer feedback and input to really understand customers. And he's transferred that over into the private sector and to cities to try to understand what the community's needs are. It's pretty amazing. So I'll have more information on that, more to come.
Oh, that's awesome. I really appreciate, that's our goal here, is to find out what our citizens want, right?
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Brink.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As Finance Director Gwynn mentioned, I did sit in on the out brief for the audit, and I want to extend my praise as well to you and your financial team for the excellent work. Basically, there were no findings, which is exceptional. So thank you, Finance Director Gwynn, for the hard work you and your team do. And Mr. Mayor, for your oversight of the Finance Department as well. I attended the Mayor's Exchange in Olympia last week on behalf of Mayor Gary. Had the opportunity to sit down with Senator Perry Dozier. He is our new senator, well, new because we moved into the 16th district. Yeah. So had a good conversation with him about some of the city's priorities, as well as some of the more broader priorities, particularly those impacting law enforcement. And the ability of our law enforcement agencies to do their job to protect our citizens. I am also looking forward to attending City Action Days next month, which is February 15th and 16th. It is an ideal opportunity for those of you who can set aside some time to personally meet with your state legislators as well. The meeting is held in Olympia, and they run buses over to Capitol, so you can actually sit down and meet with your legislators to discuss issues. So, Mr. Mayor, thank you for putting together the city's priorities so that they can help serve as a guideline in those discussions. And then lastly, nope, there is no last. That is. Thank you.
Yeah, I saw Ross was confused. Look, the buses go from where the hotel is that AWC has their conference at to the Capitol. So you can't ride from West Richland to Olympia in the bus.
What days were that?
It's actually February 15th and 16th. They've set aside the afternoon of the 16th specifically for AWC attendees to meet with legislators.
Yeah, Roscoe and I will be there the afternoon of the 14th through 15th and 16th. We've got meetings with senators and representatives, with Benton REA and their lobbyist Pat Dunn and Susan Jennifer. So yeah, we'll be over there and, with the advantage of working with the lobbyists as you go in the back door. So we get quality time with them and we're gonna be talking to do our SR 224 project and the mis-scoping of the OT and the need for more funding. But also it's gonna be an example of a model that the municipalities working with DOT to help them in getting their projects completed, getting things. They've got more money and than they have people to do the project. So this is something that we're gonna pat ourselves in the back of Glasgow taking the initiative to convince the DOT that the best place for this project's here at home, so it doesn't go away. We don't lose the money and things get done. But we're also taking on more project outside of city of West Clifton to assist DOT with the chip seal from West Clifton clear out through Benton City. So we're spending their money and helping them do their job while benefiting the city as well. So new model that we're going to present to our legislators and hopefully they'll like it so well, they'll plus us up about 5 million and we'll get her done. So that's what we'll be doing as well. All right, very good. I believe, is that an old card name? Yeah.
I just have one other revision. I don't want to know what our citizens want as much as I want to know what they're willing to pay for. So when you're having your meeting, try to incorporate that in the survey. Thank you.
That's the last question. You want this, but you want to pay for it. Yeah. All right, council and Amy, welcome. Thank you so much for spending your evening with us. And these people are always this joyful and the meetings always go this smooth. And so we just want to make sure that you're at home here and you're part of the family now. So thank you, council. And with that, we'll go ahead and adjourn our meeting this evening at 6:52.